Welcome back to the Purple Politics Podcast. I'm Ben.
I'm Rick.
And it's that time of the week where Rick and I sit down, drink a couple beers. Well, Rick drinks the soda. And we go through last week's headlines, try to find like the purple area between the lines. We're not always right. We're not always wrong. Head over to purplepoliticspodcast.com. Let us know what you think, how we're doing. So last couple of weeks, and we mentioned it last week, Larry Sharpe is running for governor of New York. Now, I heard him on the Joe Rogan podcast. I was pretty impressed with him. Well, yesterday he did an interview on a Rochester radio station, and I found that on Facebook. You can find that on Larry Sharpe's Facebook page. And again, Rick and I were just impressed with him again, so we decided we'd focus on him in the beginning here a little bit.
Especially because Governor Cuomo didn't return our calls to be interviewed.
Yeah, in Larry Sharpe's defense, I haven't tried to call him yet.
Yeah.
So to start off, Larry Sharpe, he's not Democrat, he's not Republican, he's a businessman. He's a businessman, and he's running on the Libertarian Platform. So I thought it would benefit our listeners to go through what libertarians may be about. And you can find this right on the Libertarian page under their platform. But right off the bat, personal liberty, quote from their page, individuals are inherently free to make choices for themselves and must accept responsibility for the consequences of those choices they make. Our support of the individual's right to make choices in life does not mean that we necessarily approve or disapprove of those choices. That's such a key point.
Yeah.
Because in the state we live in now, if a Democrat doesn't agree with your choice or a Republican doesn't agree with your choice, they just bash you as much as they can.
Oh, absolutely.
A libertarian is saying, I don't care as long as it doesn't affect other people's freedoms.
Right.
So I want you to be as free as possible. I love that.
Honestly, I didn't know what a libertarian was.
I honestly didn't either.
Until we covered this story.
Yep.
And I didn't catch the Rogan podcast, but I did catch him. I think it was 95.1 in Rochester. He was on there for a while, and I got to tell you, some questions were asked. The man had answers. They seemed,
immediately,
and they weren't coming from left or right field. It was an answer, and I'm like, he was from another planet. I mean, it's a guy who grew up in New York City. He's a business owner. The guy running for lieutenant governor is a guy from Rochester. So he's representing
he
Central
grew up
New York.
in the 19th Ward or something over there.
Yeah. So without getting too far off, what a libertarian is, I just wanted to jump in and say, honestly, I was really impressed by this guy. So, but go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. I was impressed by that. I mean, that's one reason why we looked this all up. Now, We've heard of the Libertarian Party, but we've never actually researched them.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing now, is we're kind of doing the research for our listeners.
Well, we live in a two-party system where it's a Democrat or Republican, and those are the ones that...
And I talk every week about how I want more than two parties.
Yeah.
And we have them.
Yeah.
Here's one right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they go on self-ownership. Individuals own their bodies and have rights over them that other individuals, groups, and governments may not violate. Individuals have the freedom and responsibility to decide what they knowingly and voluntarily consume and what risks they accept to their own health, finances, safety, or life. Again, you're free. I'm not going to judge you.
Right.
I may not agree with it. I'm not, and that's what we need. We need more. We just need more people staying out of people's business and stop telling them what they have to and cannot do. And
I don't know how long this party's been around, but I've read it all. I really don't have a issue with what a libertarian is, and if I did, that's okay, because not everybody sees eye to eye, and not everybody's going to believe what somebody else believes. So, but it's definitely not what I thought it was.
No.
So maybe I prejudged it, based on something I've heard in the news or an article that I read or watched. I don't know. So I was definitely pleasantly surprised. Let's put it that way.
Now, here's a topic that people who have been listening to us for a while are going to finally get to hear the other side of how we look at the LGBTQ community. Because we've brought up the transgender issues a couple of times, and I think we've been a little on the right side of that. And this pretty much says everything that I agree with. I don't know exactly about you, but I'll read it real quick. For personal relationships, sexual orientation, preference, gender, or gender identity should have no impact on the government's treatment of individuals, such as in current marriage, child custody, adoption, immigration, or military service laws. Government does not have the authority to define, promote, license, or restrict personal relationships, regardless of the number of participants. Consenting adults should be free to choose their own sexual practices and personal relationships. I 100% agree.
Yeah, I definitely don't disagree with that. You know,
I
mean,
who you love, I don't understand why two men who love each other is any worse than a straight couple who just fights all the time, beats each other up in front of their children. And you're telling me that these two guys holding hands down the street are evil?
I don't think they're evil.
Yeah, give me a break.
It's funny when people say that.
But I mean that's how you have to look at it that way if you're saying that they can't.
Yeah.
Because there's good and bad. So you're saying it's bad, but they're okay, even though he's beating his wife. Yeah. That's an acceptable relationship.
Listen, being good or bad doesn't have a sexual preference. It doesn't have a gender. You know, it doesn't even have a religion. So, you know, you're either a good person or you're a bad person, or maybe you're somewhere in between. But
now I will say, regarding the number of participants, there are government programs that benefit married couples, and there are programs that you can work the system by having, like, say, polyamorous relationship. So say me and my wife bring somebody else into the relationship. Now that person moves into the house. There are scams that we can do, and at risk of getting in trouble for telling people how to scam the government. I'm sure everybody already figured this one out. Maria and I are married. Now we take this other person into our life. They live with us. They pay part of our bills. We don't take them on taxes. They don't make a lot of money. They can go to the government, get welfare. So now we got our money, their money.
I gotcha.
Because they're calling us the tenants. There are ways around it. So I can see where the government. But I'm also thinking that the Libertarian is trying to take away this government, which will take away the scams.
It will.
And
based on what I heard
and what we've read, yeah,
and what we've read, you know.
So everything so far I've read, I agree with. They have stuff on the environment, like the government has a terrible track record when it comes into the environment. Protecting the environment is in the best interest of the hunters and the people. But my one argument to that is yeah, but now we pollute and it goes into the next town. I mean, there has to be some government regulations on the pollution that's caused. But I think they are saying that you're now affecting them. Well, I'd have to come in.
Right, and that's the way I would understand it.
And then another one that we agree with, the free trade, they support, and migration. We support the removal of government impediments on free trade. Political freedom and escape from tyranny demand that individuals not be unreasonably constrained by government in the crossing of political boundaries. Economic freedom demands the unrestricted movement of human as well as financial capital across national borders. I agree with that. We still need to have an immigration policy with people coming in. We should not stop them from leaving if they so choose to leave. But here's my question on trade. We export all this stuff, and then everybody else imposes tariffs on us. How do we fight that?
Tariffs.
And I think here they're saying that may impede moving. I may be reading into it wrong.
Like anything, listen, trade's a tightrope walk. Yeah. You know, let's be honest. So I don't think you lay down a blanket statement. Yeah. And say, here's my position on trade, because it's not that black and white. Right. I mean, could it be that black and white? Yeah. In a perfect world. It could. Reality is it's not. So I think in a perfect world, you could apply this maybe, but we're far from a perfect world.
And we're already far away from where we need to be.
But I think what this is, I think these are libertarian guidelines. This is the core, their core value, what it is. They've got opinions on death penalty and all kinds of stuff. You know, so I don't agree with everything that I read. Right. But
and the two that we disagree with would be the death penalty, yeah, I believe, and not all of the abortion.
But parts of it, for sure.
Because from what it sounds like, They basically just say, we believe a woman's body is a woman's body.
Well,
but
it
at
is.
some point, that becomes a baby's body too.
Right.
And I know people are arguing right now that, no, we're not talking about, but there are other people out there saying, well, until that head pops out, I can kill it.
Yeah.
No, because at 16 weeks, things start happening. At 21 weeks, the baby can start sucking its thumb on instinct. That's an argument for later.
Yeah.
The one fact that I found that drives me nuts is, and I get it's from a 1987 study, but it was just a number that I had. For reasons why women have a late-term abortion, 71% of women say they were unaware they were pregnant or they misjudged the gestation period. So it's after the baby's 21 weeks. You've now had 21 weeks, 20 weeks. You didn't know. Well, now you know. Now you're having a baby.
Right.
And then there's other ones like, oh, the guy left me. That was like 8% of women said that on the survey. So, I mean, there are things we disagree with. And the death penalty, there's absolutely times when somebody needs to it's just cheaper to kill them.
Yeah.
As mean as that is, I mean, come on. You have the guy on video raping and murdering like a bunch of people.
Yeah.
There's no argument.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Just stop paying for him. So let's move on to Larry Sharpe. And we'll start with his radio interview yesterday in Rochester and some of the things that he said. What was the one thing that you got out of the...
The one thing I got out of it, I mean, the guy wants to actually make a change. And most importantly, he has a plan to make changes. Yep. And like, it was a little later on in their interview with him, somebody had called in and said, oh, you're only hurting the Republican candidate. You're taking his votes. And, he kind of laid the guy out and put him in his place and was like, look, man.
Stop it.
Stop.
Yeah, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm talking to that guy.
Yeah.
That is the problem right there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everybody's saying, oh, you're wasting a vote.
Yeah.
No, you're wasting your mind.
Yeah.
Because if he's getting Democrat votes and he's getting Republican votes, he has a chance. New York has, what was it, 16 years, they were saying? Hasn't had a Republican?
Yeah.
16 years.
And they go to sleep. The Republican Party goes to sleep. They come out of their hibernation for the race. They half-ass put some effort into it. They don't even, I don't even think the guy's got a platform that he's running on.
I only know his name, and I'm going to be honest right now.
I don't even know
from
his
a
name.
story we're going to talk about later.
I don't know. I heard his name, but I don't know his name.
Wait till we get to the Cuomo Bridge if we get to it.
What's funny is I know the Libertarian and I know the governor's name, which is probably a good thing. But I don't think the Republicans
and
really
I knew
tried
Cynthia
that
Nixon.
Oh, yeah. I
Running
forgot.
again.
I forgot about her. But still,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've got an actor from Sex and the City. You've got a business owner from New York City running as a libertarian. You got Cuomo, and then you got this mystery Republican guy that I don't know his name.
Every time Larry Sharpe talks about Cuomo, he calls him the king.
Yeah. I mean, does have a bridge named after him.
Oh, no, his father.
Yeah.
His father.
Oh,
does.
yeah. Well,
yeah,
still,
we'll get to that.
Last name. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, you can't get mad because a libertarian's going to run in the race. I mean, it's like a 4 or 5 way race now, I think. And if I recall the correct number, I think this guy only needs 35% of the vote, and I think he's in the mid-20s.
Yeah.
He's been at this a year, and the Republican guy's been at this 15, 20 years. We don't even know the guy's name. But
to say you're stealing votes, all you're doing is you're playing party politics. You're voting for your party just because you signed up Republican. Yeah. A lot of Democrats.
Well, that's what that told me because the guy has no platform.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you're voting for the guy because he's a Republican. That's what drives me crazy. You don't listen. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a libertarian.
Yep.
Okay. I'm registered to vote. I can vote. All right. But I don't belong to a party.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. And the reason I don't is because I think it's the best person for the job.
Yep.
It's not, well, I don't like either one of them, but I'm Republican, and that's who I'm putting in because of my core values. And those are what? What are your core values? What's the core values of the guy?
Catering to whoever's giving him money.
Oh, absolutely.
And then making sure that everybody around him goes to jail for the problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
This other guy, the Republican, I feel bad that I got his name.
Yeah.
I just don't want to play with the papers.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
not that I don't want to plug the guy. I legitimately don't know his name.
Yeah, and if,
you know,
if he
and
wants,
I'm a little embarrassed by it, to be honest with you.
if he wants to get a hold of us to come on, we'll figure it out. But Larry Sharpe, the one of the most important things about Larry Sharpe that I've found, and I'm going to go back for 1 second. Larry Sharpe has no idea we're talking about him right now.
No.
He hasn't asked us to. We haven't told him. We were just impressed.
No, and up to not that long ago, I had never heard of him, you know, until Ben told me about the Rogan podcast.
Nope.
And then he sent me an interview done by a Rochester radio station. So, you know, I listened to it. I got to tell you, I'm impressed. You know, does it mean I'm going to vote for him? Does it mean I'm not going to vote for him? It doesn't mean anything.
We'll find out in November.
I'm just impressed with what he had to say. Now, is he capable of doing all this? Yeah, I don't know. You know, I just watched the interview here, probably within the last 3 hours.
My favorite part about him, though, is I think it was on the Rogan podcast. He said that he's like, I don't care if I win. If I don't win, I go back to work.
Yeah.
Just take my ideas and run with them. Just fix the state.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you this: they weren't softball questions that he got. I mean, the fourth man, they call it the fourth man at the radio station.
Those are the listeners.
Yeah,
of
the listeners. They called in and, man, they asked some questions, you know, and I got to tell you, he was smooth. You know, he never missed a beat. He didn't stumble on his words. He didn't backpedal on anything. He came forward with everything that he says that he stands for. And the guy not only had an answer, he had a realistic answer. He had an answer that made sense. It didn't sound like it came from left field or he just made it up seconds before, you know, the words came out of his mouth.
Let's get to some of the issues that was brought up on the show. And this is from a Radio 95. I forget the name of the show. I'm sorry to the host of that show. His main issue is all the people leaving New York and heading for the southern states.
Listen, everybody knows somebody that's left the state, be it Florida or the Carolinas, for the same reasons.
It costs too much to live here.
Yeah.
Jobs have left.
Yeah, property tax is ridiculous. I know.
I had all my parents and in-laws, except for my father-in-law, they've moved down to Florida to retire.
Right.
You hear about it all the time. North Carolina gets all of our friends.
Yeah, I mean,
all
North Carolina is now like southern New York.
Yeah.
You know, for a lot of New Yorkers, a lot of us, I have a lot of family in Wilmington, right where the hurricane just hit. You know, I have family down there.
My wife and I have discussed moving out to the Carolinas when our son is out of high school in 2 years.
I've got an aunt or uncle that live in the Carolinas. I mean, I have more than one person that's there, and these are New Yorkers.
And it's not, he's not lying. We're leaving in a flood.
In droves.
And all that happens is every year New York is just raising more taxes and they're losing more people, which means we have to pay more taxes.
Right.
It's just going to keep going on. He brought up sanctuary cities, and we're not going to get into an immigration debate.
No, but I
liked what he said.
It was a good
brought
answer.
Up some other options.
It was a good answer.
Topics. So
You know?
he does not want to be a sanctuary state, but he understands that New York City is going to do whatever they want to do.
Right.
They're too big to not, you know?
Yeah.
So instead, he wants the counties to be able to deal with ICE as they wish. So you know what? Instead of, if you don't like what ICE is doing, in Onondaga County and Oswego County has kicked ICE out, I'm not saying that's what it is.
Right. Yeah, we're not saying that's the policy or where either county stands.
It's not that far away.
Right.
Just move over there. You don't have to deal with it. They all have that. You're out of Onondaga.
Yeah.
But
they have options. They have places to go.
You can still make it to work. You're
not
going out of state.
That one guy that's not in my backyard, it's not. Well, he doesn't have to worry about it because, you know, they can go to another county, you know, to where, you know, people like that are welcome.
But that's the other thing.
You don't have to have a position on immigration to see that that's an acceptable thing right now, because immigration is extremely complicated, and you know what? The New York governor's not going to hash it out. You know, nobody has an answer that can be implemented in 24 hours and it's all going to go away. That's not going to happen. So this is a way to manage it. That's really how I took it. And then if you want to move on, we can go right into education.
And that's another one that I'm pretty big on, because our education system is messed up.
Oh,
and
it's suffering.
When he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan just could not understand how messed up our education system is. And I still think to this day, Rogan doesn't get what Larry Sharpe was saying.
Well, yeah, he's not from New York either.
Right.
You know, I mean, you can visit here and not know New York. You got to live here. You got to pay taxes. You know, you have to have family that goes to school, and you know, then you'll understand what we're talking about. So if you're not in New York, you're not going to have a clue.
Right.
You know, but you know, I liked his answer. I mean, he wants to get. We have so many administrators when it comes to education. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and he goes in, he talks about Common Core and getting rid of it. And, you know.
Common Core is my number one beef.
Well, here's the thing. This is what I like. He wants to put the way of teaching back in the teacher's hands.
Yeah.
Not the federal government, who gives New York $4 billion in, you know, funding to teach Common Core and have good test takers and bad test takers and, you know, measure like that.
Yeah, he wants to get rid of standardized testing until high school.
Yeah, because you know what
or
he said?
Or until middle school, one of them.
Yeah, you know what he said? He said, you know, there's good test takers and there's bad test takers. But you know what? In life, it doesn't matter if you were a good or a bad test taker. What you can accomplish in life has nothing to do with that. You know, and that program's driven that way.
If the government's giving you money based on tests people under you are taking. Now we're going to get away from teachers.
Well, we can do that
because I don't want to make it sound like I'm accusing teachers of anything, but just you as a person have all these little minions under you that are supposed to be doing what you tell them to do.
Right.
And your company is giving money based on a test that these little minions have to take. What happens when the kids are doing bad on those tests? What do you do?
Well, you know, here's the thing. And I'm not trying to not answer the question. The money that's handed down for this testing, okay, most of them funds are absorbed. The costs go up because they have to hire these administrators.
Yeah, but just to go back to the tests,
okay,
and getting the teachers back in charge, when your money is based on the standardized tests and your kids aren't passing the test,
I'm going to teach the test. So they
not
can
only are
pass
you going to teach the test, you're going to take the test for them.
Well, yeah, I'm going to make sure they pass.
You're going to make sure they pass.
Yeah.
Instead of teaching them, just like you said, you're going to teach
I'll
the test.
teach them the test. I teach them how to pass the test.
Instead of learning things.
Right. You're not teaching them anything. You're teaching them how to pass a test.
Right.
And that's really,
and then the kids that can't, you're just passing the test for them.
Oh, yeah.
I can't point to any New York State examples, but there was a Chicago review.
Yeah.
Where the teachers were falsifying the answers on the test. So
I remember that. And it wasn't just one teacher. There was four or five of them.
Yeah,
and I think the principal was involved too. Yeah, I remember. That was a few years back.
That was a while ago. But that's what happens.
You know,
and a story from my own life.
And it's a poor school that can't afford to lose the funding, so they're doing whatever it takes to get the funding. You know, I mean, come on. It's not like, you know, it's so frustrating.
Here's a story from my own life. My oldest child, when he was in middle school, they were teaching Common Core. He came home with his homework. He couldn't do his homework. I showed him how to do it my way.
Right. That's wrong, though.
Well,
yeah.
Because you have to multiply. You have to draw this box and this grid. And you have to put numbers in it. So I showed him the top-down method.
Right.
I get a call the next day. Mr. Frankie, your son cannot learn the top-down way. The school has a lesson plan. It's this Common Core. He has to do the box and stuff. I go, let me come in. We'll have a discussion. So I go into the school. I sit down. I go, why can't I teach him the top down? Because I taught him the top down, and he got it.
Right.
Immediately. We did the boxes. We did all this other shit that I had to go online and teach myself because we don't understand that stuff. And they're like, well, they found that kids learn this way better. I go, well, my son is not getting it.
It's a small percentage.
Why? Yeah, it is a very small percentage.
Small percentage.
And Gates has admitted failure, and they're getting rid of it. But so I go, why can't I just show them my way? And they're like, the government says it has to be done this way.
There's where I have the problem. The government says.
And I go, pick two numbers. We're going to multiply right now. Just pick two. And she's like, I don't want to do this. I go, pick two numbers. Just prove me wrong. She picked two numbers. I can't tell you what the numbers were. Say they were 52 and 48. By the time she was done drawing her box,
you already had the answer.
I had the answer, doing the top-down method. So don't tell me.
The teacher knows that.
Right.
You know, but the teacher's forced to enforce it. And a lot of these
teachers. But that right there just shows you they don't care about teaching the kids.
And these kids are stressed out.
And I'm not saying the teachers don't.
Yeah, and these kids are stressed out doing this.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you go to school to learn how to take tests. You know, I mean, they're not going to learn, and they wonder why the dropout rate's so high. Let the teachers get back to doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is, when our kids do take a test that a teacher puts together and they fail on some of the questions, a lot of times the teacher will go back and show them what the right answer is, how they got there, depending on it, if it's math, history, whatever, but they're spending time on that, and now they don't.
He actually brought up the kids dropping on. I like this answer on that too.
Yeah.
He wants to take schools and make them K through 10.
Yeah.
And then 11th and 12th would be a prep school for college.
Right. Or a trade.
Or trade. But the prep school for college, if you want to go to college. And a parent called in and they're like, well, I don't understand this prep school for college, 11th and 12th grade. My kids weren't just in study halls. Because that's what he said. He goes, most kids spend 11th and 12th grade in study hall.
Yeah.
Which my kids did too. But there were some hard classes.
Yeah.
And Larry goes, well, what if everybody that was in those 11th and 12th grade, because he's not getting rid of it.
Yeah. What if you want it to be there?
What if they want to be there to be a different environment?
Yeah.
Everybody's learning better.
Yeah.
The teachers can focus on who's struggling better instead of having to deal with the kid who's disrupting the class.
Right.
Those ones who are disrupting the class, they can go to technical school if they don't want to drop out.
Tech or trade.
Or they can just go to work.
Right.
So he also brought up
if they can pass the test, they take their test.
If they pass their test, they graduate.
They can graduate. They can go to tech school. They can go to trade school.
And if a college wants them, they go right to college.
Yeah. So there's a lot of avenues there.
And then he talks about how he wants to give all the kids $20,000 and do it like a GI Bill where they have 5 years to do it.
Yeah.
And he says right now, and I haven't looked up the facts, but he says right now we spend $22,000 per kid in New York State. He says that by giving them the $20,000 for the next 5 years, which can be applied to trade schools,
right,
it'll save $10,000. Now, the way I understand this is that it's like an insurance plan. The money's getting put in a bucket. So many kids aren't going to use it.
Yeah.
That covers the cost, and that's where your savings are. The problem I have with that is you hand all these kids $20,000 for 5 years, which I guess he's also saving it from like the 11th and 12th grade too.
It's a lot like a GI Bill, I think.
But the trade, using it for trade schools will cause more kids to use it. You now have 5 years to use it.
Right.
But there's going to be a lot of kids that don't use it in the 5 years.
Listen, there's going to be...
I still like the idea.
There's going to be options for them, which is more than they have now. Because here's like, I think even he said, you got these people are, these kids are $100,000 in debt coming out of college and they're working at Starbucks.
Right.
Why wouldn't they, one want to maybe take a tech job and, they could, or take trade, where they weld. I mean, these are jobs that pay money.
And our colleges, what interpretive dance? I love Ben Shapiro when he talks about, I think it's lesbian interpretive dance. Don't quote me on that. But he's like, what are you going to come out of? You just spent $100,000 on lesbian interpretive dance. What are you getting a job in? Nothing.
No.
You're going to be at Starbucks wondering why you're paying for $100,000.
Yeah.
There should be real skills being taught in college, and all these fluff classes should not be a major. If you can major in lesbian interpretive dance, there is a problem. And I know that he's just making it up, but I bet you there's a school out there that has that as a major. And all it is the colleges are greedy, and they're like, oh, some dumbass kid will take this class. Boom, I'll do it. And that's what it is dumbass kids who don't know what they want to do going to college because we, the parents, make them go to college, and because they don't know what they want to do, they just sign up for these majors.
Right.
So we're partially at fault for being selfish, I think. And I was with my oldest. It didn't work out.
Right.
Lessons learned.
No, I hear you. But I think he's got a lot of good ideas. I think he has, a lot of ways to accomplish things. And I'll tell you right now, if you really want to get it, listen, if you're genuinely interested in the future of your state, New York State, and you're going to vote in the, for the governor of the state, and you're undecided, even if you are decided, go to this guy's Facebook page. You can listen to him speak, and I think, if you want to be a responsible voter, and really, I think as voters, we need to listen to everybody. We need to hear him out.
We've heard enough of Cuomo.
And we've heard enough of him. the Republican guy, I don't know his name. He's kind of MIA in my world. That doesn't mean that, there's not a bunch of people that know him just because I don't. I have no clue. I doubt he's going to call me and ask me to vote for him. I doubt anyone will.
I think everybody needs to start voting.
And I think everybody needs to really start looking at candidates.
Yeah.
Really.
And get away from this Democrat, Republican, even Libertarian.
Yeah.
Just look at everybody.
Don't party vote. Vote for the candidate who's going to make the best impact, for us,
everybody,
and for our children and for our futures. And we don't have to agree with everything that they say, but at the end of the day, who's gonna move the ball forward, the best, that I think that's really what it comes down to. So, I would listen to the guy personally. I've heard him speak. The guy's a great speaker, and give him a shot. Listen.
Well, I think I brought it up last week, and I'll bring it up again because it's going to segue us into the next story. Because we got one more, and then we're going to get off of Larry Sharpe for a bit.
Yeah.
His bridges he brought up on Joe Rogan.
The Cuomo Bridge.
Yeah, the Cuomo Bridge, and changing
Bridge.
it to like the Staples Bridge or the Verizon Bridge. Where
I liked his idea.
For it.
I liked his idea.
It's things like that, though. When you're thinking of things like that, you're taking your pride out of it. Which don't tell me that putting your father's name on the bridge isn't a pride thing. Name it Staples Bridge and let Staples fix it.
Yeah, let them maintain it.
And if Staples don't want it, Verizon.
Or whoever makes the
purplepoliticspodcast.com.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of budget.
Our listeners can start donating.
Yeah, maybe $1 here, $1 there might put us over the top. But it's just like these big cell phone companies. They sponsor all kinds of things. Like Nextel Stadium and Staples Center and things like that.
And I think that's exactly where you got the idea from.
And you know what? It's really a genius idea because it's going to save the taxpayers money. It's going to save the city money.
Giving them highways. Give them 90.
Yeah.
We were supposed to stop paying tolls on 90 like a decade or two ago.
Oh, I hate to break it to everybody. That's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen unless somebody like Larry Sharpe comes in and does something about it, which he's got an idea for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I like the idea of building Google a road and then saying you have to take care of this road.
90's the one you do it.
Yeah.
90's the one you do it.
You can build a road almost straight down the side of 90. It's almost empty. I mean, there's some mountains, but you have to go around.
Yeah.
And then Google can test drive their self-driving cars.
Yeah. They can pay to maintain 90.
I forget the name of the tractor-trailer company, but that would be a great idea for the tractor-trailer company.
Oh, yeah.
Because they need to test those things and figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that I recommend that because you're going to put me out of a job. You guys can kiss my ass. I'm supposed to sound like that. But that would be a great idea for them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. We're hearing ideas. We're not used to hearing ideas. We're used to hearing Cuomo saying, this is what you're going to do. Shut up.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I've heard more ideas come out of this guy's mouth than probably anybody.
In 2 weeks. In 2
weeks. So, pretty impressive. Like I said, if you get time, I'm sure it is not hard to find his Facebook page. So
let's go on to the Mario Cuomo Bridge, which I've been driving over that damn thing for a while. I didn't realize that was the name.
I
can't go around it.
It's the new Tappan Zee Bridge.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I thought it was just why not? You just built a new bridge. Just leave it the Tappan Zee Bridge.
Yeah.
So what happened is Cuomo is suggested, I think we all know he did, to have rushed this through, and it may not be the safest idea in the world.
No.
So while he was doing his celebration to open the new Mario Cuomo's bridge, the Tappan Zee is still next to it being torn down.
Yeah, didn't part of it fall in the drink?
And as he's talking, they hear a quote, a loud pop, and they're like, yeah, this is a quote, potentially dangerous situation. Well, no shit. Part of the Tappan Zee Bridge just collapsed on itself. I think is what I'm getting from it. But that's all from Cuomo rushing it. Now, here's how it happened. All right, now I'm not going to say how the Tappan Zee Bridge broke. I have no idea. But this is how the bridge came to be and how it was built. And this is from somebody who's been driving over it since they were running the beams down a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So you're driving over the Tappan Zee Bridge, and on the left side, if you're going into the city, on the left is where they were building the new bridge. They put the beams in for both sides of the new bridge because there's 2 bridges there now.
Right.
and then they opened up the left side, and you drove down the left side, and they finished the right side while they were demolishing the Tappan Zee Bridge. The only reason to do that is to rush it through, because what they should have done is just built the far one,
Right.
rerouted traffic over there, dropped the Tappan Zee Bridge, and then built the right one next to it.
Correct.
And that would have solved all these problems. We'd still be working on it. You know, I understand that. But that's what you do to be safe. Last year, the year before, I'm sorry, I can't remember which one, but we're driving down, and my buddy and I were lucky enough to get the call. We had to reroute around the Tappan Zee Bridge because we were still driving over the Tappan Zee Bridge, because one of the cranes, because we're working too close to the Tappan Zee Bridge, fell over the Tappan Zee Bridge, and not just like fell into one side of traffic. It fell over to the bridge to where the top was hanging off the other side. Traffic blocked up for 4 to 6 hours.
Wow.
Luckily, I was en route and was able to route around it, but things like that wouldn't have happened. I mean, yes, accidents are going to happen.
Yeah,
maybe the
of
crane,
course.
but I'm assuming that the crane did that because it was at too close proximity. I mean, there was other ways to do it. There's no denying that Cuomo did it to speed it up so that he could have it done by the election, which is the allegation from Cynthia Nixon. To which he replied, anyone trying to score political points off of it only underscores why they are unfit to serve. Well, buddy, that's exactly what you've been doing this whole time. And then to say that she's trying to score points off of it, I'm sure she was. That's how politics works.
Yeah.
But this is on you, bud. There's no denying it. Cynthia Nixon said, there is a real, reasonable question about whether this bridge span opening was accelerated to aid the governor's campaign. Yeah. It was done.
And the governor's response is a statement on Saturday. He said, this is not an episode of Sex and the City. It's real life.
Yeah.
No,
I know. I
right in the article.
I read that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was the bridge collapsing and then falling and then hitting a beam under the bridge, and then that bridge being unstable and then collapsing. Also, you can cut a ribbon a couple months before your election.
Maybe the ribbon was holding that piece up when they cut it.
Well, he should have thought about that before he tried to cut it. All right. Time to piss people off. So let's get out of New York. Head over to Miami. Miami. So an incident happened in Miami at a Taco Bell.
Si, senor. Taco Bell.
And it didn't just involve the bathroom. It involved the drive-through.
Of course.
So a lady, what is it, Hialeah,
I believe.
Hialeah, Florida, which is Miami-Dade County. A woman was going through the drive-through, and I'm pretty sure the article said that she's from the area. She goes up to the drive-through speaker. She's speaking to the people, and they don't understand her. So she drives around to the window, and they open up the window, and they're telling her in Spanish that they don't speak English. And she asks for a manager, and they're like, they say in Spanish, but I guess somebody interpreted through the video. They said that the manager's at home, but there was 2 to 3 employees inside the Taco Bell, and none of them could quote unquote speak English. So the lady couldn't order her food. Now, the lady says, and here's my thing. If this is true, which it is true that she didn't get her food and they said they couldn't speak English. If it's true that they couldn't speak English, one, why did they have a job? I'm sorry, if you live in America, I get that you may live in a Spanish-speaking community. English is America's primary language. If you cannot speak English, you cannot have a service job. Well, I'm sorry, you can't, especially if there's nobody else there. At least one person on shift needs to be able to speak English.
Well, you would think, but things are a little different. If you go into Miami Airport, let's put. I don't know how it is now. Last time I flew through Miami, everything was in Spanish, and I actually couldn't find a gate. It was like 5 people that I had asked.
There wasn't English signs and all that?
No, it was before I found somebody who speaks English so I could ask them where the gate was.
See, that to me, that's unacceptable. That is what feeds all of this.
And that was a long time ago. This wasn't a few years ago. This was better than a decade ago.
But this is what feeds the fears of half the American people that are on the far right that are like immigrants are trying to steal our country. When you go to someplace in America and it doesn't even speak English anymore,
Yeah.
that's what feeds the fear.
Yeah.
Like that's why they are the way they are and so freaked out.
I think their justification is so much percentage of that community is Spanish speaking and immigrant. It's, you know, it's obviously it's an immigrant area. I wouldn't think an international airport would have that policy. But, you know, it is what it is down there. The officials that are elected down there are Spanish speaking.
But they still speak English.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying
That's
listen,
my issue.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't speak English. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But what I'm saying is, in Miami, this didn't happen overnight. This is not the first time something like this has happened.
Well, my thing is I believe at least one of those people in there could speak English.
Probably, and didn't want to.
And they were just being
well, you know.
I'm in New York City all the time, and all the time you got people that they speak English, but when they come up to you, they'll start speaking Spanish to their buddy in front of you just so you can't understand what they're saying.
Right.
Or whatever. New York City has tons of languages.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I hear Russian.
Yeah. New York City is the opposite of Miami. You know, New York is a melting pot of people. You know, so many languages are spoken.
I'm fine with bilingual. I'm pro bilingual.
Yeah, so am I.
You know, I understand. I don't know why I took French, but I understand a little French from high school. But my thing is somebody should have been, and it ends up that the person got fired, which tells me that it was more than.
Yeah, there was something wrong there.
She obviously probably could speak English and was just refusing to.
Yeah.
And that's a problem to me too. And again, this whole article hit me because this is what feeds the fears of the people on the far right that are like anti-immigration, because they see the country being taken. And then you put this stuff in the news, which I understand why it was in the news.
Yeah.
But the lady said that she's from the area.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what got me. They did offer her a gift card.
Yeah,
she
that
said
makes it all better.
She says that's not going to solve the problem. It's not going to give her justice. Don't try to sweep this under the rug. Now, here's another issue I have with the way things are reported, because just before that, the reporter talks about how the person had been fired and all that. And then right after that, she's talking about how the lady's complaining how it doesn't solve the problem. I have a feeling that the reporter never told the woman that the person was fired.
Right.
She just assumes that the lady was only offered, or the lady's assuming she only was offered a gift card. I mean, she said that she called in. Oh, that was the one part that got me. I just saw it in my notes. So there was a man in the car too, and he tried to argue with the person in the store. And this is another reason why I think if what he says is true, and obviously you can't just take what he says as the truth, but he said to the person saying that they don't speak English, he's like, "This is America." And the lady said, "No more, Poppy."
Oh, so she understood.
Well, if what he's saying is true, she understood. But that line right there is the exact quote that I pulled out. That was like, that's why we're in the situation we're in. Quickly, we'll move on to sexual harassment with Kavanaugh.
I gotta go back to this because it's $100 gift card. Do you know how much Taco Bell you can buy with $100?
I would take that shit. Wouldn't you in a second?
Yeah, I just wouldn't go to Hialeah Taco Bell.
No!
Drive up the coast a little bit.
I never even think about that.
I'm done.
How many chalupas can I get for $100?
A lot. You could probably have a Super Bowl party or something like that. I don't even know if I could say Super Bowl, so maybe I ought to bleep that out.
I ain't bleeping nothing.
Yeah, have a sports party.
This podcast is 50-50. Anything Rick says, Rick pays for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So Kavanaugh, he's been in the news all week this week for the sexual harassment. We'll spend just a couple seconds on it, a couple minutes on it.
Not that rape's not important. I just think it's been beat to death.
Yeah, this thing has been beat to death, but a woman came forward with allegations that Kavanaugh sexually harassed her in high school, sexually assaulted her. He never raped her. She said that she was able to get away from him and his friend and get into a bathroom. Now, this report or this note or email or whatever it was sent to, the hell's her name? Feinstein?
Yeah.
Was sent to Feinstein back in July.
She sat on it.
Shortly after Trump was nominated, They say that they didn't want to go through with it because they promised her privacy and she wasn't ready to come forward. But then they wait until 2 days before.
Or a week before.
Or a week before he was supposed to go. You can't tell me the timing isn't suspicious.
Well, I got to run something in here
Yep.
real quick. So Dianne Feinstein did sit down with Brett Kavanaugh. And at the time she sat with him, she knew this.
Yep.
So my question is, why wasn't he asked about this?
Yeah, I agree.
It's private. It's
Or
one-on-one.
why wasn't it brought up to the head of the...
Yeah.
And secretly...
Yeah.
They push it back. There's got to be a way to say, Kavanaugh, we can't tell you why this is being pushed back. And then secretly research it. No, they wait till a week before.
Right.
They throw it out there.
Yeah, there's games being played here.
And in the time of Me Too movement, a sexual allegation is not just a sexual allegation. It is a weapon.
Yeah.
And that is sad because now you're taking the pain of others and turning it into a weapon. Now, this lady, I get it. Some people are scared to come forward and stuff. She is a psychologist. She understands coming forward, coming out. She's had 30-something years of Brett Kavanaugh being in the public service sector. He worked for Bush.
Yeah.
He's been a
He's
top
on the
guy.
DC circuit.
Yeah, he's got more papers that they're going through than anybody else. So he's been out there.
Right.
And you wait until a week before.
Well,
don't give me that bullshit.
Dianne Feinstein waited till the week before.
She waited till July.
Yeah, but
when he got nominated.
Right. Here's my thing here. And I don't care if it took 30 years to come out. I'm just gonna say it. Okay. I think if this really did happen to her, I'm not her. I don't know how I felt. I get the fact that she's a psychologist. I get all that. But I don't like the way the Democrats handled it, because I think some of it's intentional. It's just my belief that it was timed.
Absolutely, 100% was timed.
What I don't like is I don't like how the Republicans are handling it. She came forward a week before Feinstein released it, and now they've given this lady till Monday to come in and testify. My question is, why isn't there an FBI investigation? Why?
Why is there?
Why isn't there?
Well, FBI doesn't search rape. Rape is not a federal. Rape is a local.
It is, but this is FBI handles this, and I think if you do your research, this is not just classified as. I think it has something to do with the fact that he's a judge. And these allegations are against the judge.
These allegations are against a high school student.
That is now a judge.
The allegations are against a high school student.
But what I'm saying is that's why the FBI handles this.
Right.
It's not, in a perfect world, something should have been said back then, and the local police or state police or county, whatever, should have investigated it. I'm not saying he did it. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm not saying she's full of shit. And I'm not saying anything because I want to hear what she has to say.
Well, how long does it take to investigate these types of things? And then how long does it take to do a court case? And how long does it take to do all of that? Just give me a number. Just take a guess.
Oh, that's years.
Okay. So what happens in November?
Yeah, it's years.
That is what's going on. That is why the Republicans are trying to push it away, and that's why it came out now.
Right.
The Democrats want to push him. Well, the Democrats want to push this. He won't be able to do anything until this is done, including a trial.
And he shouldn't. He shouldn't be able to.
So you're saying that the Democrats plot, because that is literally what I'm calling it right now, to push him past January when all the Democrats come into the House, because that's literally what it is.
Here's the thing. The last one that Obama tried to nominate, would that go? That was well over 200 days. We went without having that justice seat filled.
Well, he didn't try to fill it. Didn't he decide not to do it?
No, he nominated somebody, and they wouldn't even start the process with him. The Republicans wouldn't.
Right, and that's but that's the game they're playing.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying, okay, I get
so
there's a game being played here.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to play devil's advocate.
That's what I have a problem with.
So I'm just going to say it now. I'm going to come out now for everybody.
Okay.
All right. Whoever. So when Brett Kavanaugh can't take the seat, and the Democrats, now the president has to nominate somebody that the Democrats are going to like. Whoever that is touched my pee-pee when I was young. I've said it here. I can't point to a date. I know he says he wasn't there.
Yeah. He's no recollection.
And this didn't actually happen. I'm not actually accusing somebody, but
I get what you're saying, but
that's why I'm saying
this is two things for me. That's why I think you're not kind of grabbing what we're talking about.
I get what you're.
Listen. I know it's a hustle on the Dems side, but I think the Republicans' response is bullshit. Okay, how they're treating a potential victim, I have an issue with.
See, I don't. Right? My thing is, I cannot understand why I get till the July, but then Feinstein or whatever her name is held on to it for so long.
Why didn't she go to the FBI? Why did she go to Feinstein? Do you see what I'm saying?
That's my point.
That's what I'm saying. There's two issues.
Thing is a scam.
I agree with you. The whole thing is a scam.
But all right, so what you're saying is that the Democrats are doing a scam. There is no right and wrong in this situation. Either way, there is no middle ground in this one.
No, there's not.
I think that's what boggles my mind so much because no matter what now, it's tainted. The whole process is tainted. So no matter what, and there's no way to prove it.
Monday comes,
but here's the thing.
They don't interview her. The last I knew, as of yesterday, now I haven't had a chance to find out if there was a deadline change. She has till Monday to testify. If not, they're voting.
Yeah, as they should.
But I have a problem with the way that they're handling it. Okay, listen, the Republicans are not innocent in this. Okay, the Dems are doing them dirty, just like they did the Dems dirty when Obama was in office. It's tit for tat.
I agree with that.
But what I'm saying is, what if there's an actual victim in here? That's what I'm saying.
I have a problem with the 35-year wait listen. I have a problem with the 35-year wait to the week before.
I get it.
That, and as far as I'm concerned,
but what if it's true?
Then she should have come out years ago.
Okay. But that does not excuse him because she should have come out 35 years ago.
It doesn't excuse him.
So you can't put that guy on the Supreme Court. It's a trick box.
And that's my point.
Yeah, there's no right answer.
That's the only reason it's in here right now is because it is a catch-22.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do.
That's why I'm saying.
And that's what drives me nuts about it.
There's two. I'm having
But now you're also making the case that no matter what, when somebody gets put in that position, you just bring somebody forward to say that they sexually harassed them. That is the...
Well, there's got to be some kind of proof. I mean, you just can't say somebody
there is no proof in this case.
Well, she's got a date, a time, a place. She's got a friend that corroborates her story.
35 years ago. No, I thought she had a friend that doesn't recollect all that. His friend doesn't remember.
The interview I saw, she had recollection of it.
All right, so 35 years ago, what did you do?
I don't know.
Nobody remembers.
But I do know this.
And here's another
thing. I wasn't
thing.
raping some girl or trying to force myself on some girl.
She's a psychologist. She understands that memories...
Yeah. Listen.
All right, we got to go on to another one.
I'm not saying it's not a scam or a hustle.
No, it is. But that's my problem with it. Because it is a scam, and all it is setting the precedent that every time somebody comes up, you just claim rape.
Yeah. How it's presented is definitely
35
shifty.
years.
It's definitely
35 years.
But what I'm saying is, what if it actually happened?
Then you play the what if game.
But I get it. But you got to investigate.
So let's get rid of the Supreme Court because we can't ever elect another Supreme Court justice. No, because everyone raped somebody.
Listen,
that's the Me Too. That's my problem right now. Is the Me Too movement and the way things are
If they
done.
get her in front of Congress, I don't like the way they're talking. They're talking like she's mistaken or maybe she has a different recollection. It's like they've got their minds made up, okay? And that's what I'm trying to avoid. It's very easy to say, listen, it's all bullshit. This is just politics at its worst. And I'm saying, what if it isn't? All right? If she doesn't want to come forward, perfect. Then have your vote. And he either gets his vote or he don't. But if it's legit, somebody needs to investigate it. So if she doesn't come forward, why isn't some law enforcement agency talking with her? Because if it is, and that agent that interviews her, if he feels it's legit, then they bring charges. It's just that simple. If it's far-fetched, not just because you're accused of something doesn't mean automatically you're charged with something. Correct?
Not in the Me Too movement.
I don't care about the Me Too movement.
That's all I care about. This whole thing,
Yeah.
This whole thing is just, the whole thing just
Listen.
drives me fucking crazy.
Because this whole thing could be over. It's just Brett Kavanaugh, the nominee, and them trying to ruin it. Or there could really be a victim here. That's the issue that I have. Is because of the way it was handled, it looks like it's
you and I
horseshit.
both have an
But what
issue
if
with
it's
the way
not?
it's. Yeah, you got the what if it's not.
Yeah.
I got the what if it's not too. Or
Right.
you got the what if it is. I got the what if it's not.
Right.
Now, what if it's not? But they still go through this whole thing. They got to pull Brett Kavanaugh off. If it's not, this lady should go to jail.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. She should. She should.
But there is no way to prove these types of cases.
Listen, it can either be proved or it can't be proved.
It can't.
Somebody from law enforcement needs to get in front of her and interview her. If she does not, if she refuses to be interviewed, then it's a done deal. It's over. Do you see what I'm saying? But if somebody sits down with her and says, you know what?
Timing.
Kavanaugh,
That's
I get it.
See, you and I are arguing two different things. Because
we are. That's why I'm saying it's twofold. I agree with you. The timing is bullshit.
And I feel for the lady if it really was. But it's the timing.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
But the timing is...
The timing's bullshit, and it wasn't handled by her. It was handled by Feinstein. Yes, it was handled by her by waiting 30-something years. I'll give you that.
She waited 35 years, and then Feinstein waited to the week before.
Right.
Now I'm going to say, and I will argue, you know what? You guys played the hand wrong.
Yeah. It blew up in your face again. Because I'll tell you right now, she's not going to sit down Monday, and they're going to nominate this guy Wednesday.
Vote him in. Vote him in.
And then it'll just be a scandal because then somebody will want an investigation. Now we're going to have a tainted Supreme Court judge or a Supreme Court judge with a tainted. It's going to be even
and
worse.
They're all going to be tainted from here on out.
If he has an accusation pending against them, so, my question is to Feinstein. She knew about it when she sat down with Brett Kavanaugh. Why wasn't it brought up?
And that's my point. That's my point as well. But I'm taking it a step further, and I'm just saying, bullshit, guys. This is you did it on purpose. There's no way around it. There's absolutely no way around it. That's what bugs me.
I'm not saying the Democrats didn't do it on purpose.
My biggest question is why wait 35 years? And don't tell me that she was afraid of her position or what he was going to do to her.
Yeah.
That stuff doesn't, because it's going to be worse now. Yeah. Because
I think at the end of the day, the Democrats use this politically. There's no question about it. And either this lady's not telling the truth or she's telling the truth. But I think we need to find out
I'm going to just say there is no way to find out.
If she does not want to be interviewed before they vote on this guy, then it is what it is.
As far as I'm concerned, if she does not want to be interviewed,
then I guess it didn't happen.
No.
You can't say, well, maybe it really did, and you can't do that.
There should be charges placed against her. If she does not want to get interviewed, she should have never brought it up. She should have never allowed Feinstein to do what she did. Feinstein should be charged with something as well.
Well, they should be held accountable for their actions.
Feinstein should be charged with something for sitting on it since July.
I can't. She had the opportunity. She sat down with Brett Kavanaugh. Why did she not bring it up? I cannot get past that. That just tells me it was a play on the side of the Democrats, and they're either using this individual story or they're idiots.
And I'll give you that.
That's
Democrats
what I'm getting
are doing
at.
her a disservice if it is true.
Thank you. Because if it's true, they definitely did the victim wrong. And if it's not true, then just the whole thing's a scam and a hustle. Do you see what I'm saying?
And I have to thank you, Rick, for making us go long on this.
Oh, that's right. You know what?
So I want to take a second. This week...
we're going to thank my buddy John. Hopefully he can hear me.
It's my buddy, John.
Yeah, but he's my buddy. He's worried about me.
And I'm sure I'm going to play with your volume so he can't hear you.
Yeah,
it's going to be a whisper right now.
Yeah.
So that's been our show. Send me all the hate mail you got.
Yeah.
I'm sure I was the asshole this week. Be Frankie at purplepoliticspodcast.com. You can follow us on Facebook at Politically Purple. Our website is purplepoliticspodcast.com. And we'll talk to you guys next week. It's a bubbly beer.